Hello. Hello, everyone. If anyone shows up tonight. Got the Woodford Reserve. I'm missing the, I'm not sure if I'm going to have to change when we do Cybertruck Live because I forgot about Thursday Night Football. So even though I'm a Packers fan first, I'm a Chiefs fan second because I live in Kansas City. So I've got it DVRing right now. But I don't know if that matters. It's hard now because it seems like they play football on almost every night. It's like they have Tuesday night football, Thursday night football. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. If only 10 people come, then maybe that's the sign that everyone's watching the NFL opener. All right. Well, hello, Forrest Bremer. Let's see here. What time do we have? We still got a few minutes. So, well, swallowed that wrong. So up here on the screen, I actually have. So I didn't stream last week because I took a trip down here to the Buffalo River, which is, let's see if I can provide some perspective here. It's hard in 3D. There we go. There we go. So, Buffalo River is down here. If you know where Branson, Missouri is, that's up here. So I'm gonna share some video tonight from that trip, and I'm gonna talk some about how the Cybertruck would have made it way better. But anyway, super cool area. One of the things that's really cool down here, has anybody I know there's 16 people right now, so I guess that's not a very big sample size, but I wonder if anybody's been down into the Ozarks or around the Buffalo River area. The Ozarks are pretty popular, especially Branson's pretty popular. So I don't know. I don't know if anyone's going to be familiar with this part of the country or not. Let's see. Got the trails booked for Northern California. Oh, man. No, I skipped last week, Ben. I should have changed my thumbnail sooner. And then it dawned on me, oh, crap, people are going to look at that and they're going to think I'm skipping, even though that was from last week. So I've been playing around with the new thumbnail design anyway. So I whipped that one up and put it up there, but I only did it like an hour and a half ago. So yeah, you haven't missed anything. I haven't started yet. I'm waiting until 8 o'clock. Northern. Oh, okay. So you've been down to the Buffalo. Cool. Well, I'm going to start talking to you guys about some stuff. Now, some of you will have been off-road enthusiasts, and so there might be part of this that isn't gonna matter, or well, I always like to hear about other people's off-roading stories. So, but I got my first chance this year to go out off-road, real seriously off-roading with my Tacoma. I've been numerous times on my motorcycle, but I have, we really were able to get out. Then that's mostly, I would chalk a lot of that up to COVID, because I would normally go out in the spring and with both my motorcycle and my truck off-roading down here in the Ozarks. But, you know, it was so crazy. I thought the apocalypse was coming, but I don't really think the apocalypse was coming, but I didn't want to have to try and travel and rely, like gas stations were closed, all kinds of things. So my spring off-roading period didn't happen. And then for some personal reasons, I couldn't go over the summer. I had one of my kids had to have some expensive surgeries done. So my fun money was all blown on doctor bills. So this has been really my first time to get out and go off-roading. And in the summer, if I go off-roading, it's usually I want to go to Colorado because it's so hot here that I can't camp. So I either have to stay in a hotel or I have to do like out and backs. So, all right. So, the apocalypse did come to California. What time is it? 8:01. We could start. I mean, really start. So, what I want to do, I want to go through my recent off-roading trip down into the Ozarks, the Arkansas Ozarks around the Buffalo National River. I shot some video I want to share, but I want to give you kind of an overview first about so someone asked about these camping resorts. So I am not a fan of camping in campgrounds. I do it when I have to, but I don't like the crowds. I don't like the reason I go camping is like to get into nature, sort of to be remote and then enjoy the terrain, hiking, rafting, motorcycling, and obviously off-road vehicles. So one of the things that's super cool, and I don't know what other areas are like, but I was going to show you, this is the Buffalo National River. This is basically halfway between a national forest and a national park. It's kind of treated like a national park, and in fact, there are national park rangers in the Buffalo. But what makes this really unique is that you're allowed, everywhere you see these they're really sand and gravel bars, you're actually allowed to camp there. So this is one of the campgrounds. So what happened was we went down there on Friday before Labor Day and got to the campground. And the last year I went there, the campground was empty. But the difference this year is it was warm and COVID. Way more people are camping now with COVID than they were before. I mean, like RV sales are through the roof, all this other stuff. The campground was packed. And so I had been eyeing some places that I wanted to try and go off-roading and wild camping. So the deal is, if you can get down to these bars, you can camp on them and for free. So what I want to do is I want to show you, I had a deliverance moment last week. I'll tell you guys about that. That's super funny that you mentioned deliverance. Maybe not last week, but 2 weeks ago, we did a motorcycle trip and we had a deliverance moment. So let's see. Yeah, flash flooding can definitely happen. Absolutely. It's just, like any of these river systems, if you camp on the shore, you have to be ready for flash flooding. So I'm going to show you, this is a video that I actually recorded on purpose for you guys. So I actually have like a little intro and stuff in there. Aren't I handsome in my in my I wasn't really camera ready, although I don't really give that much of a crap about when I'm on camera. So okay, hopefully let me know. I think you should be able to hear this. Let me know. Here we go. Hey everyone, it's Todd, the Cybertruck truck guy, and I'm out here wanting to show you why I am such a fan of adventure and off-pavement travel. I think one of the mistakes people make, forgive the appearance, but I'm in vacation mode. But I think one of the mistakes people make is they think off-roading is just to go on the trail, and that's really not what it's about exclusively. What it's also about is getting an opportunity to camp and experience places like this. Go ahead, Matthew, kind of pan around and show. So this is on the Buffalo National River in Arkansas, and this is an area that you can only access via an off-road trail. The trail is not really super hard. You could do it with any kind of stock SUV or four-wheel drive pickup truck. You'd have to have four-wheel drive. But the reason we're here is we went to the campground, and the campground was full. It's Labor Day weekend, it's crowded, and as I've mentioned in some of my other videos, wild camping is an amazing experience, but I hadn't found any really good spots. So Matthew and I got down here last night. We went to the campground. It was packed to overflowing. I said, hey, I have some ideas on where we could go. Let's give it a shot. So we went. And in fact, I shot that other video, which I'll include in this one, of us exploring a pretty sketchy trail that made me very nervous. But we ended up finding this, and we have it all to ourselves. So this is the difference between camping and a campground and having a really off-road capable vehicle that can get you into just gorgeous, pristine country where you're not crammed up. There's all kinds of free firewood. It's just tremendous. And honestly, the biggest challenge is finding level ground to pitch a tent, but there's enough of it here. We were able to do that. Matthew's got his hammock up, and I just wanted to share with you why having an adventure vehicle is so transformative. Oh, and this is free. This is all free. Didn't cost us a dime to camp here, right on the river. We just jumped in. We're just wet from getting out of the river, taking a swim, and now we're getting ready to go up and do some hiking. So anyway, I'm glad I got to bring you along on my trip, and we'll catch you next time. Bye. So now, okay, first, I need a gold chain. I got another video to show here, but I don't know if anybody has any questions about that part, or if anyone wants me to answer anything. So let's talk a little bit about the camping side, self-leveling suspension, Nick. So here's the thing. These areas that you can wild camp in are beautiful, they're isolated, and they're free. But they have some drawbacks. And one of the drawbacks is they're not a nice, level, graded camping area. They don't have a nice, flat tent pad. And so one of the challenges when you want to do primitive camping or wild camping in these amazing places is finding level ground. It's actually very difficult because no one's actually on purpose made level ground. Just the fact that the Cybertruck will allow you to self-level, and you'll be able to camp anywhere you can find a place to pull off. And I can't reiterate this enough. There is people worry about, well, what if they run out of places to go? It's like there's millions. There's so many places to wild camp, gorgeous places. You could live for free, basically, and never worry about running out of space. I mean, when we went camping on Labor Day, everything's crowded. This area that we were in, totally empty. Now, the next day, one person came down that off-road trail, and then that night some canoeists, because you can turn you can do overnight camping from your canoe, and that's very popular. And so on the second night we had a family, in that general area. Wasn't a big deal. They were way far away from us. So when there is crowds in these places, it's like one other person or two people. It never gets crowded. And if it does, you just move somewhere else. It's just really not that big of a deal. But so couple of things I will go at length about why I kept saying I wish I had my Cybertruck. Number one, level space. Huge. So number two is, and this is, we're going to talk about the accessories here in a little bit here, but I've had a lot more clarity around accessories. And so I'm going to go into that in a little bit here. What I want to do with the whole accessory power ranking idea, and like advocating for certain accessories or changes to be made to the Cybertruck. But what I realized when I was down there, I was like, look at all this space. Man, it would be so easy for me to put up some solar panels. And I've seen people that do wild camping, and almost always they have one, 100 or 200 or 400 watt solar system. And it was like, yeah, in my mind, I've thought about that. But when I was there and I had this whole like island to myself, I was like, I could put up like 2,000 watts of solar from my Cybertruck and actually get, 40, 60 miles, 80 miles maybe a day of charging. And so, I'm not going to get that with my Tacoma. That's the thing is, when you leave and you want to, so we wanted to go do some off-roading, but I was down to under a quarter tank. So we literally had to drive 10 miles to get to a gas station, fill up, and drive 10 miles back before we could actually do anything, because I had to go get fuel. And that whole time I was like, man, some portable solar panels that would trickle charge my Cybertruck here while I'm camp would be amazing. And I know we've talked about that, right? But I've had some ideas about this that you'll see when I show you my accessory list, why I'm narrowing in on a handful that I think solve so many of the issues people are talking about with the Cybertruck. So then the other thing is we had to cut our trip early because the temperatures started to gradually rise. And by the third night, the daytime temperature was like 96. And it's 100% humidity down here. So or 95. I mean, it's like soup. So we had to leave because in a tent, it's like miserable to sleep because it never got below, like the coldest it got was something like 78 degrees overnight. And that was at, like towel wringing humidity. So I just kept thinking, oh my God, there are so many reasons why the Cybertruck would be so awesome. And that's just on the camping side. Now let's talk about the off-roading side. So I'm going to show you this. I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to show you, but let's just start. So let me explain this. So this was a trail that was pretty sketchy. It made me nervous. I was actually very worried I was going to get stuck. And the reason is because, and the problem with like single lens cameras is they don't capture depth very well. But right here and right here were two washout gully rut areas, and they were both about 12 inches deep. And so this center part is actually a mound. So I know it looks flat here, but it's a mound and it was wet. So I had to straddle on this, and I was constantly adjusting to try and keep the truck from sliding down into one of these troughs. And I don't have a winch yet on my Tacoma. So if I got stuck, it was going to be bad. And the thing is that I have about 10 inches of clearance in this truck. And the Cybertruck is 16. So anyway, what happens on these trails is eventually the only vehicles that can drive on these are Jeeps. And so all of these ruts end up being rutted Jeep tire depth, which is like 12 inches deep. So they become, outside of like ATVs and motorcycles, they become very difficult to traverse with anything but Jeep or a heavily lifted truck. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of this video here. And I've got there's a deep gully that I'm trying to straddle. We forgot our shovel. I was kicking myself, but yeah, I forgot my shovel.
Another off to the side.
So this, I'm going to try and get up on this side here. Okay, I think this shows, so this shows the ruts a little bit better, I think. Better here, but I kept sliding, so it's a slight incline, so I kept having to fight sliding back down into them.
So I'm not sure how well the camera picked that up, but those goalies were both about a foot deep.
That's Matthew, my son. So that, which would be no big deal if I had 16-inch clearance on the Cybertruck, but I only have 10 on the Tacoma. Hey, Mark. Hey, Scott. Brian. We're looking at my off-roading trip from this weekend. No, definitely. Let's see. This is not okay. Okay, so see this? You oftentimes get these super narrow things where if I didn't have mirrors and I had armor, I wouldn't worry that much about it. I have ripped off my driver's side mirror off-roading. Oh, this isn't going to take us down to the river, I don't think. So I don't really need to. I'm just going to want to show you one thing. Oop. So you guys notice that there's actually a dead branch right here. On a regular trail that gets used a lot, these are always broken up. When you see a piece of dead wood over a trail like this, that means it's not getting traveled that often. So we later found out this was supposed to be a closed trail, but somehow the gate that was across it was open. I'm wondering if some enthusiast came by and cut the bolts or something. But we drove back the next day. It's called Old Cemetery Road, and it's not there's not that much interesting about it except what I want to show you, and I'm going to take you back to the beginning real quick here. Okay, this is the way a lot of trails are that you go off-roading. There's actually vegetation that's growing into where your vehicle is, and it doesn't necessarily stop you from doing the trail, but it ends up scratching up your paint. And I kind of don't give a shit about I do, but I already have dings in it. I buy my trucks to use them. So I just know that going into them that I'm going to beat the crap out of them. I would rather enjoy my vehicle and just take the hit when I go to turn it in. And I don't like damage the body, but there's a lot of scratches and nicks and dings in the paint. So, because if you want to go to the cool places, you have to go down trails like this. That's all there is to it. You have to go down trails, and part of the fun of doing this is exploration and adventure. And what stops so many people from taking their capable vehicles off-road is this: branches, stuff hanging over. They're just too worried. They don't want to scratch their paint, which I understand. It costs like a couple grand to go through and have somebody retouch up all the paint and buff it out and all that other stuff, or it has when I've had to trade in my other vehicles. So the point that I'm making is that what the Cybertruck will do is not only will it be capable, but people will be encouraged to explore because they're not going to be worried about scratching the truck. They're just going to go, it's not going to, a branch hits it, no big deal. You do that in your regular F-150 or my Tacoma, you got a big scratch down your truck if you guess wrong or you think something's going to break away and it doesn't and it digs into your vehicle. So this is why, this is the reason, my main reason that I got so excited about the Cybertruck is because I go off-roading, because I do primitive camping. Immediately, I was like, oh my God, this is going to change everything. Which, if you've heard some of my other videos, you know that I bought this Tacoma. My last truck was an F-250. I was needing it more for work. We were starting, the business was still pretty small, and I was having to do things with my personal truck. Tow things around, plow snow, do other stuff like that. Over, 6 or 8 years, the business grew to a point where I didn't have to do that anymore. And I could get a vehicle that I wanted. And I went back and forth between a Jeep and a Tacoma because I wanted something to go off-roading. And I ended up, once you use a truck and you get hooked on using a truck, it's so hard to give up that bed and the flexibility that a truck gives you. And so I ended up, plus of course, the legendary reliability of Toyota. So I ended up doing this, and I was going to slowly upgrade it to turn it into an off-road monster. And then the Cybertruck came out. So I was like, dang it. Everything that I was going to pay extra to do to my Toyota, the Cybertruck already includes. So anyway, let's see here. I have seen the Model Y off-road from a YouTuber. That kind of off-roading is quite fun. I do a lot of that with my motorcycle where it's more like gravel and nice off-roading, high traffic off-roading. So the fact that he could do anything with the Model Y is cool. But again, the Model Y it's not meant to really be an off-road rig. I mean, I think it'd be really fun to drive it on gravel roads like he was driving it. I'm going to once I get a Cybertruck and I can do this, I want to do some videos on high speed off-roading, how much fun that is. Okay. I carry a saw with me whenever I go off-roading. Yes. Let's see. Yes, it's a TRD off-road. So I have the highest off-road capable Tacoma before you get a TRD Pro. They don't do trail. I think it's the equivalent of what the trail model would have been, which kind of straddled. Anyway, if you're not a Toyota person, it doesn't matter. The latrine. Oh, I don't want to get into that. You can, it's pretty easy. When you're wild camping, you just have to dig a hole. It just has to be big enough to accommodate your business. So a knife is fine for that. And in fact, where we were, it was really rocky, so a shovel wouldn't have worked that well anyway. So really, actually, a knife was better. Let's see. Have you seen? Did you? The old homestead. So we did drive by. Yeah, that's really cool. I should mention that when you're in off-road backcountry areas, especially in places where there used to be people, but now there aren't as many people. So it's kind of like mining towns in Colorado, which there's some really cool old mining towns you can go exploring off-road. There's similar things down in these areas too. So there's all kinds of abandoned farmhouses and structures. You might be talking about the actual like official one by Tyler Bend. They have some like actual historical like restored ones. So and I have been to that, but let's see. Primitive camping. Yeah, primitive camping with full electric. Exactly. This makes primitive camping not primitive. You can bring your mini fridge. You can have air conditioning. Here's the thing. I would really not bringing a trailer in that area. It was easy with a vehicle. Bringing a trailer would have been very difficult unless you had one of those little like off-road trailers. And the problem when you're going to somewhere new, and that's the way primitive camping a lot of times is, in general, people like me don't like to tell other people where we primitive camp, because it's like a lot of times when you do that, they end up getting over camped. And I would say part of the fun is discovery, adventure. It's part of the challenge. And so this trail that I was on here, if I'd had a trailer, I would have been super nervous because I would have been worried about having to back up. I've been on more than one occasion, I've gone down a trail like this and I've had to back up a substantial part because there's no area to turn around. Tank turn, Tesla, tank turn. But I don't even know if I could have done a tank turn on some of this stuff because the trees were so encroached. But yeah, I really am hoping, again, that so far that hasn't made my top features list. That's like in the next tier down, but I'm going to go through that here in a second. But the problem, even those military Jeep trailers, when you're in an off-road situation like this where tire placement is you have to be super careful on tire placement. And then all of a sudden you have to back up. Now you're having to back up a trailer and place your tires in a very specific spot. This is why you don't see a lot of people going into super technical environments with the trailer. And unless they know it, if you know it and you know how it goes and you know you're not going to have to back up. But when you're exploring, you go down something like this, you don't know if you're going to get in so far that you're going to have to back out. And even doing that with a Jeep trailer, this would have been very, very challenging to turn around, because when I got to the end of this and I had to turn around, it was a very narrow area. I had to make like 5 Ys to get my vehicle turned around at the end of this trail. Because there was a aggressive drop off on one side and a stand of trees on the other. And there was no good place for me to turn around. So having a trailer at that point would really suck, which is why having the fact that the Cybertruck is going to be such a capable standalone camping platform is what will unlock adventure for so many people. Yes, that works if you're Mark. That works if you're at a place that has stumps or deadfall trees. I have different methods for, I don't need to get into all that, but you do got to figure that out. Cause you still got to you got to go when you got to go. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Model Y would make a great rally car with an upgraded suspension. So that's what I'm hoping, that the Cybertruck suspension will be a much more capable version of the Model X and Model S air suspension. Much more capable in terms of off-road, because the key to any kind of off-roading with speed is suspension. That's what makes or breaks you. Okay. Yep. Climb over small trees. I agree. You can really go when you have, even with my Tacoma, I've driven over some very large, like trees, deadfalls. You can get over. So, let's see. Mountain bike trails. Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other thing about the Cybertruck, is you can bring your toys. See, my Tacoma, my motorcycle, unless I get airbags, my motorcycle compresses my rear suspension so much that I'm hitting the bump stops. And so the Cybertruck will let you bring mountain bikes, motorcycles, kayaks, and a bunch of other gear. So that's the other thing about wild camping, is there's not like the entertainment is the natural world. So you want your toys, your mountain bikes, your kayaks, your canoes, your motorcycles. I don't, you want that gear with you if you're into that stuff, like me with my motorcycle. I hate being in an environment like this and not having my motorcycle. Even if I don't use it, there's times it's like I could go away with my motorcycle for like 30 minutes or an hour. And there's always dead time when you're wild camping. So yeah, it's awesome. Let's see. How will the CT trailer deal with charging spots? Okay, I've thought about this. So first of all, at our supercharger, I have a supercharger like a mile from my house. And the way it's organized is that I could back into it and block. So it's at the back end of a parking lot that never gets full. So I could back into that and block the actual drive lane and people could still go around me. So I think there's probably certain supercharger stations where that's possible. I do think that we're going to start seeing with the semis, they need to start developing pull-through supercharging, if for nothing else than the semis. But I'm wondering if part of the reason Tesla went out and raised some money is if they're not going to try and accelerate what they call the mega charger stations. And to me, those would be ideal. I'm thinking like truck stops, and every pump at a truck stop is a pull-through pump. And so I think because so many people are towing, and of course you have semis. So I have a feeling that Tesla is going to start building mega charger stations that have pull-through slots for both semis and Cybertrucks. I'm speculating, but they have to start doing something for the semis. Like they have to do that. And I think we're going to start to see a new evolution of superchargers, because the advantage of doing these mega charger stations, they're like truck stops. They're not in urban areas. They're like 50 miles or 30 miles outside of an urban area, or they're like in the middle of nowhere. And so if they can start doing that, then they'll be able to actually start doing that with solar. Because right now, like where our supercharger is, there's no way you could put a solar farm. It's in a grocery store in the middle of the city. So I think that for their business model to sell truckers electricity at 7 cents per kilowatt hour, they're going to have to be building their own mega charger stations with solar. And that means pull-throughs, and they're going to be doing it on places where you mostly are like pulling campers and stuff on the interstate. So I think they already know, they realize they're going to need to start doing it. They have plenty of capital now. There's no reason they can't. So my expectation is we're going to start seeing a new kind of supercharger station that's meant to accommodate tractor trailers and pull through trucks. That's just, I'm speculating. Yeah, I also agree. I would have to believe that they're going to be able to, they're going to break the semi battery up into modules that you can charge separately. That makes sense to me. I mean, we haven't seen anything about that, but I also agree. That's why I'm thinking we're going to see, I wonder if at Battery Day they don't give us an update on the whole mega charger thing. Okay. Let's see. Well, NWI, I'm glad you were here. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to talk about racks in a second. I'm going to... Oh, they do have some pull-through superchargers. Okay. Yes, you can... There's... In the Cybertruck, you'll be able to power your RV off the Cybertruck. I mean, I believe it's got... We haven't actually got the stats for what the power outlets can put out, but I'm guessing that you can, there's the battery is certainly big enough, or will be big enough to do it. So then I think it's just a question of, I don't think you're going to want to be like running like 2 air conditioners and stuff off of it unless you have some major solar capacity. But all right. I don't know what a flip tongue trailer is. Let's see here. Okay, just a guy. We're doing a meetup next year, Cybertruck meetup, that everyone with a reservation and even a moderately capable 4-wheel drive vehicle is encouraged to attend. So, and I'm hoping that as we get closer and more people start getting Cybertrucks, that meetups, just a guy, this is super popular in the Jeep community. There's like Jeep clubs in every major city. I think we're going to see something like that with Cybertrucks. So don't despair, but I'm going to probably start doing some videos on how to off-road, like from my perspective. And so people won't have to go out and like try and learn everything themselves. So the whole idea with the meetup, which is going to be in Colorado in not next year, but the year after, 2022. Yeah, 2022. So is to get people that are new to off-roading and new to having off-road capable vehicles to start letting them dip their toe in the water. But I'm going to have routes. It's going to be kind of like self-directed, and then I'm sure I'll be going out with a group, but I'm going to have routes planned out for like that you could probably do like in a Camry, seriously. But the goal would be just to get people oriented around adventure travel and starting to think about the Cybertruck as a platform for doing that. And then, like I said, I'm hoping that we start seeing clubs form. I know Tesla, that already happens in some areas, but Cybertruck is going to be another beast because of the off-road feature. And it is a lot easier to get into it, especially the crazy shit, with someone else. I mean, it definitely makes you feel more comfortable, but you can gradually get into it. Like, you don't have to go do this kind of stuff. And there's ways to like plan out your stuff so that you're not getting into trouble. And the problem with me is I do it now so much that I'm probably not as careful as I should be in terms of like, I don't have my recovery gear. I don't have my winch. I don't have like, so I'm kind of like, I could probably get out of it, or I'll probably, that's probably more dangerous than someone who's new and super careful. But I think you're going to see that there's going to be, certainly at least within our community here, I'm going to be trying to do things to promote adventure travel, off-road, primitive camping, all that other stuff. And I'm sure I won't be alone. Like, I'm sure there's going to be a shit ton of other people doing it too. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, I gotta keep scrolling down here. Where is the meetup? I haven't announced specifically where it's at, because I gotta go out. I want to scout it. I'm gonna go do a scout trip next summer. It's probably gonna be in the general vicinity between Colorado Springs and Salida and like Aspen, sort of in that general triangle. But as far as like where will we actually like run from and logistics, I got to try and figure out some logistics, but it's going to be in Colorado and kind of in that general vicinity. Let's see here. I am not opposed to doing Black Bear, with a small group that knows that has experience off-roading. I'm not going to do a meetup and try and do Black Bear. I wouldn't do Black Bear on my motorcycle. I would need to have like a 500cc bike or lower to do Black Bear. Let's see. Yeah, I think Tesla has talked that they're going to make a smaller truck, and I'm almost positive the wheelbase and width will be very similar to this class that I drive, the Tacoma Ranger Colorado class. Let's see. Okay, I think I've tried to see all the questions. If I missed your question, whatever. Anyway, we're going to move on to accessories. Okay, so y'all know that I've been trying to think about an accessory, what I'm calling accessory power rankings. So I've been thinking about this. So I went through the list that we've kind of gone through a couple of times, and I've been on the Cybertruck owners group looking at their list, and then I've been doing a lot of thinking about accessories that will provide us the most bang for the buck in terms of, yes, like the Cyberduck idea is super cool, but it's not like people aren't generally going to take their truck and drive it out into a lake. It is, maybe they will if it's super like works great. I'm not saying they won't do it. I'm saying that like if we're going to try and seriously make a petition to get certain accessories added, my thinking as I started thinking about this is I want to petition for the accessories that are going to give the most people the biggest bang for the buck as far as like Tesla incorporating them. Like what can we put pressure on them organizationally that will yield the greatest amount of results for the greatest people to make the most functionality for the Cybertruck. And obviously there's been a lot of openness during the prototyping stage for doing this. And I've come up with this list of 13. So I'll ignore all this stuff down here. This was all like when we kind of brainstormed about accessories. And I'm not opposed at all to amending this list and changing the priority of it. Like the priority isn't super important, but there's a method to so I'm going to do a video. My plan is, so here's my plan. Based on feedback, you guys can look at this. And I'm going to go back to the Cybertruck owners forum and put the list out there, but the problem is what ends up happening is everybody just chimes in with their random features. And I'm trying to come up with an actual strategy. Like, what are we trying to do here? So what I did, the reason I arranged them actually in an order is because some of these things, there's a contingent, like you need one in order for the other one to make sense. And the further up the list we go, I think the more impact the accessory has. So obviously no one's going to agree with every one of my options. But I started thinking about this, and I think the way forward is for me to get as much feedback as I can and then do a video. That's what I do. It's shareable. And it will provide a really, if I do a video and there's a list, and then I put the list in the comments, and then people can chime in and they can understand my rationale for why I put this here. Then at least there's a possibility that we can sort of gain some momentum around certain components. And that's why I want to do it this way. So it's come up with a list, rank the list, do a video on the list, put it out there, get feedback, and then use the combination of the video and the feedback to actually then start pressing Tesla. Okay, so the in order, fifth wheel solution. Now, I debated putting this in here, but the thing is that for a segment of population, this is a really, really big deal. It's not to me, but it's a really big deal in ag world. It's a really big deal in contractor world. So it's number 13 because in my opinion, most of the reservation holders are more like me, where they're more recreational and they're not thinking about the Cybertruck as primarily a workforce vehicle. They're thinking about it primarily as a recreational lifestyle vehicle, and then nominally to do some towing. But most people, there are people that tow fifth wheel campers, but most people doing fifth wheels are ag or contractor. So put it in here because I would like at least to put this out there, because if Tesla can solve it, then it makes it really expands the audience for the truck. All right. Front mounting for winch, plow, brush guard. The main thing is it's because you have a hitch in the rear, there's a lot of things you can do related to the hitch and hitch assembly in terms of mounting, and like there's more flexibility with it. But on the front, you need to have some degree of design consideration in order to accommodate mounting things like a winch or a plow or a brush guard. You need to, like, how are we going to do it? It would be a lot easier if there were pre-drilled holes or pre-cut grooves or some things that made it easier. Yes, you can weld anything on there. Specifically with a plow, in my world, if you put a plow in a truck, it can void the warranty. So I want them thinking about front mounted tools. Is it a huge deal if it doesn't have it? No. Is it going to like stop people from buying it? No. But that's why I have it in as 12. Okay. These two have to do with the seats. One is the ability to replace the middle seat with a console. I don't know hardly anybody that puts that person next to them except work. Like if you have a regular standard cab and sometimes you have to put 3 people in there, or if you have a big family. But it's pretty awkward to be a driver and have somebody in that seat. On the other hand, I know a crap ton of people that work like me that work out of their truck, and they really would prefer having a center console there. Fold flat seats. So this gets to the front seats folding all the way back like a first class airline seat, and the back seats folding forward, so it makes it easier for you to use as a cargo area. That's a pretty common feature with a lot of trucks, especially the back seat. The full flat seats up front, Ford just introduced that in their new F-150. It's really the only part of the new F-150 I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. Other than that, I wasn't that impressed. But the full flat front seats where you can sleep in your front seat, dude, I'm just telling you, so many people like work out of their truck, live out of their truck. It'd be nice to just take a nap. And then when we get full self-driving, we could sleep there. So anyway, so this is a big deal. I would say these I could sacrifice. I don't think it would make a huge deal to the Cybertruck. Now, this is a big deal. The more I've thought about it, the more essential it is that we're able to mount a heavy-duty roof rack on the Cybertruck. So I think they're already planning on it. They have that photo where they showed some kind of a rack system. But the heavy-duty cargo rack will make it so much easier to camp in your bed and keep your gear up high. It's super important for contractors to have that rack. It dramatically increases your storage space, and it's a brilliant place to put solar panels. So everyone, I'm going to talk about the solar thing, but the solar tonneau cover, fine. I think it's going to be complicated and expensive. But if you have a heavy duty roof rack, you can permanently mount some solar panels up there, and it's wider. It's actually going to be bigger, and they're cheap. They're like standard Tesla solar panels. Okay. We need a full app store. This is a big deal. Trucks are about customizing the truck. And we need 2 parts. There's actually 3 parts, which I have showing here. There were all kinds of requests for things like lighting and microphones and racks for like law enforcement, roof racks, and all that other stuff. What I realize is what we really need are 3 important things. We need an app store where third parties can develop apps that will let us customize our experience with the Cybertruck, but we also need external power connection ports so that we can mount things on the outside of our truck that are powered. So you can have whatever you want, speakers, lights, sirens, anything. You need to have an exterior, like 12 volt power. We're not talking high power stuff, but we need things that we can mount things in that we can control. So we need three things. We need the power, we need the software, and then we need bidirectional Bluetooth capability. So that, for instance, one of the things that is really popular in off-roading is you have different auxiliary light systems, and you have these toggle switches that you can use to turn them on and off. I certainly I love the streamlined nature of the single screen. But when you're off-roading and you're watching the road and you're looking around, I don't want to sit and have to freaking go through a touch screen to turn on my auxiliary headlights. I want the software, the power, and Bluetooth capability that if I want to install a switch panel, it can all be Bluetooth. I can install a switch panel. I can program the switches to operate anything I want, and I have the software to do it. So these things, this full app store, external power connection ports, and bidirectional Bluetooth accessories, suddenly it's like you don't have to ask for specific things. It's like there's a system in place that lets us do things, but the other thing it lets us do, we can put our own HUD in. We can add auxiliary controls, our auxiliary screens. The way when you're going off road, you want to have you can add extra cameras. So you have a screen where you have your trail cam, another screen with your GPS software, and another screen with your critical information system. And you're not trying to go through the touchpad system. I think Tesla's approach to simplifying is brilliant, but I want them to give me the freedom to make it custom if I want it. Give me the app store, give me Bluetooth connectivity, and give me external power sources so I can run my devices out there. That's what we do. That we unlock all kinds of opportunity to do shit with our Cybertruck. Okay, so I'm going to try and get through here. 852. Starlink compatibility, no brainer. So that's why the rack system. So the reason why the rack system is such a big deal, solar and Starlink. Why Starlink? I've just talked to you about all these remote places. There's no connection out there. There's no way. So I have to carry around a spot, one of those spot emergency beacons, so that if I'm in these places and I get stuck or hurt, I can get help. Your Starlink out there adds an infinite. First of all, it gives you connectivity, so here's what I love about Starlink. I could go freaking work I could have been working on that river bend. I could pull up, I could do a Zoom meeting, and then when my Zoom meeting is done, I could freaking go jump in the river and go for a swim. Just think about that. Oh my God. Freaking anywhere you want, anywhere. Top of a mountain, middle of a desert, doesn't matter. You can work. Think about how COVID has transformed everything. Suddenly, a mobile, self-charging, customizable, living and working platform that you can go anywhere in. Oh my God. So you got to have Starlink. There's got to be a way to integrate Starlink with the Cybertruck. It just has to happen. Okay, dynamic bidirectional charging. Dynamic bidirectional charging means that we can take charge in or put charge out, and it can happen while the vehicle is moving. So I've talked about this some, but the more I think about it, the more this is crucial because of range extension. So that gives us the ability to plug our solar panels into this charging system and be trickle charging even as we drive. We can get our compatible trailer with battery. Okay, this is, the more I thought about this, at first I thought, it's kind of a whimsy. It's not, it's a big deal. What I want Tesla to do is I want them to come up with a package that they can resell to trailer manufacturers that integrates the battery and the suspension, and then they can sell that and people can add whatever they want. Flatbeds, campers, horse trailers, doesn't matter. 100% customizable. I don't want Tesla to have to try and build 1,000 different trailers. That's not practical. I want them to create a couple of trailer footprints that has the battery, the suspension, and the communication / charging system that allows you to connect it into your Cybertruck and get charged so that you don't have a loss in towing. It's not going to be as cheap as buying a regular trailer, but if they're not trying to build all these different trailers, they're just focused on turning out a couple of chassis that all the aftermarket guys can do whatever they want with, boom, Bob's your uncle. Towing range is solved in general. And then lastly, I know everyone fights with me when I talk about charging with a generator, but the point of bidirectional dynamic charging is that if you needed to, you could run a generator either in your trailer or on the truck to extend your range. Dynamically, not have to pull over, not have to plug in, dynamic. This is actually huge. I can't get it out of my brain. This has to happen. Dynamic bidirectional charging has to happen. It allows also V2G, which I don't really care that much about, but some people do. Okay, integrated solar solution, not just a tonneau cover. What we need is a solution that lets us either mount it on the rack, have it in the tonneau cover, or have standalone panels that all work seamlessly together. Plug and play. So I can scale up. If I want to freaking bring 4,000 watts of solar with me, I mean, the Cybertruck will carry it. Then they'll sell it to me, and I want it like set up so that I can use it in the backcountry. I can put it on stands and I can charge, or on my roof or wherever. The point is having not just the tonneau cover, but actually thinking about an integrated solar system that composes all these parts. That's what we need. Not just the tonneau cover. We need an integrated, portable solar system that is plug and play. And then the last thing is the full pass-through. The Cybertruck is revolutionary. It changes our relationship with the bed in a way that no other truck can or will unless they adopt that shape. It essentially extends the living area of the truck. And a full pass-through would radically transform our ability to utilize the truck in a way that maximizes its potential. And so that to me is the number one thing. It makes it something. It's not a truck anymore. It's something else, and I don't even know what to call it. All right, that's all the time. We don't have time for me to cover the other stuff. Yeah, that means I'll have stuff for next week. So, anyway, let's see here. All right. Any questions? The Starlink is Satcom. That's what it is. It's like regular dude Satcom. All right. I think I'll go through. I will go through and look at your comments. But so this is my plan. My plan is it's not just features. I'm trying to tell a story with the feature list. I'm trying to actually explain the progression, what we're doing, what we want, how we want to use the Cybertruck, how it's going to bring the most flexibility and functionality to the most people. And I think this is to my mind as a truck guy, I think we're closing in on a really good list. I'm totally open. I mean, again, this is just where I'm going with this, but I really want to do this. I really want us to try and, as a community, start trying, have an agenda to pressure Tesla to give us certain things so we can achieve certain things. Okay. Let's see. All right. I think, yeah. Okay. think that's it. That's it for tonight. We'll have a good. We'll try and talk some maybe next week. I don't really know. I don't know that I have that much to say about Battery Day. I mean, like the limiting factor. Like, go watch his stuff. That's who you should be checking in. I don't know. I'm just gonna be waiting. I mean, I can speculate, but I don't really like doing that. So that's not really. I don't really have a lot to talk about. I'm very excited for it, but I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about after it's done. I am not going to stream it. I'm actually going to be watching the Limiting Factors stream. So, because I don't freaking know crap about batteries. He knows what he's talking about. So that's what I'm going to be doing. All right. That's it. We'll catch you next week. Bye.